Hey, what do you think about this person? Wow, she's super beautiful. Right? I'm thinking of divorcing mom and remarrying her. What do you think? Awesome. Totally for it. The three sons, upon seeing the photo of the affair partner, cheered for my and my husband's divorce with excitement. After all I've done to raise them, don't they feel any gratitude? That's manipulative. You chose to have us. The sons began spouting whatever they wanted, like tired of plain cooking and should just hire a maid for laundry and cleaning. It seemed I was no longer needed, not just by my husband but also by my sons. There was no gratitude for me. So I decided to leave this family cleanly. A year after the divorce. When my ex-husband and sons coincidentally saw me again, they were shocked. How can a woman who used to make just 10 cents per piece doing piecework live such a luxurious life? Knowing I was enjoying life post-divorce, my husband and sons regretted how they had treated me and clung to me, but I could never forgive them. My name is Michelle. I was a full-time employee at a company and quit when I got married to Jason, whom I met through a coworker, and became a homemaker as he wanted support. We were blessed with 3 sons. They grew up healthy and each worked hard towards their chosen paths. Jason, who worked at a major company, had high pride and a competitive nature, which now had him serving as the head of the accounting department. It seemed a managerial position was guaranteed for him. My husband dedicated himself to work and the sons to their studies. I was proud of them and supported them. Thinking this, I always kept the house spotless and tried to prepare nutritious meals for everyone. As the children grew, many of my peers stopped being homemakers and returned to work. But with my husband being very busy and hopeless at household chores, and the sons the same. Even part-time work would have left no time for taking care of them and the household. So I started doing piecework at home, introduced by an acquaintance. Piecework was flexible and required no commute. Though it was a modest income, I enjoyed working with my hands. Are you still doing that poor-looking piecework? Such a plain woman. On the living room table lay the tools for my piecework. As I was sticking labels on, earning 10 cents per piece today, Jason looked at it and laughed disdainfully. It does take time and doesn't earn much, but it's actually quite fun, you know? Well, it suits you, I guess. Not for me, though. Really, you're doing that measly piecework again? How much do you make per piece? Then my first son appeared and joined in his father's derogatory remarks. Don't say that. It's only 10 cents a piece, but every little bit helps. 10 cents. Can't even buy candy with that. It's just a waste of time. Just leave me alone, you're not being bothered by it. It's still helping with the family finances. My husband always mocked me, but recently my 3 sons also began to show contempt. My sons were teenagers and perhaps found their mother annoying at that sensitive age. I hoped their attitudes would improve over time, but their words and actions often hurt me daily. Dinner's ready, guys! That evening, as usual, I prepared dinner and called the family to the table, where they gathered languidly. And as soon as they saw what was served, they started complaining. Stew again? The vegetables were on sale. They're good, you know. Just veggies don't get us excited, we're growing boys and want to eat more meat. What are you talking about? I've carefully planned the menu for balanced nutrition. Please, no more complaints. I wish we could go out for steak sometimes. Mom's cooking is always so plain, I'm really tired of it. We do go out to eat occasionally, don't be so selfish. If we always went out to eat as you kids want, we'd go bankrupt. Even though I argue back, the kids still seem dissatisfied and grumble as they sit down to eat. Maybe it's because they're teenagers, but these little squabbles are a daily occurrence. The boys are rebellious, and there's another reason for that. It was because of their father, Jason. I also want to eat more luxurious foods sometimes. Can't you serve something else once in a while? Coming home tired from work, I hate meals that look like animal feed with all these vegetables. Don't just complain like that. It's because you're like this that they are getting spoiled and always demanding too. What? Is it my fault now? It's because your cooking is so plain. Don't shift the blame. Always saying the meals are plain, it's hard to balance nutrition within the salary range. I got it. Jason started eating dinner reluctantly while clicking his tongue. It's always like this. Jason has been snapping at me a lot for several years now. And mimicking him, my sons have started to mock me as a matter of course. I had become the emotional punching bag of the family. After such dinners, I stood up to clean the kitchen. The rest of my family was watching TV in the living room. Always complaining about something but never helping with the chores. Wow, this girl is cute. Why do models have such perfect skin? Well, it's because she's young. Unlike someone. My husband glanced at me while saying this with that mocking smirk. It's not just about being young. Look, this actress is the same age as Mom and she's beautiful. The world is so unfair. Someone gets to marry such a beautiful actress. Yeah, unlike our mom. Mom has given up on being a woman. Her cooking and her face are plain. A woman who doesn't wear makeup is just done. Really, we're so unfortunate. Everyone burst into laughter, agreeing. What an awful atmosphere. Lately, I've been feeling this way more often. I have to listen to such conversations almost every day. I did talk back sometimes, but it was 4 against 1, so I never stood a chance. So I endure quietly, but it's impossible not to accumulate stress in such a daily life. Once, Jason was kind. My sons used to say they loved me. But now, tears blurred my eyes as I remembered the kind family we used to be. Now, there was no one in this house on my side. And then, one day, an incident occurred that put an end to the tense family relations. Again, leaving laundry scattered around. Why are you so sloppy? As Jason went to take a bath after coming home from work, I picked up his casually discarded clothes in the changing room. Jason has always been untidy, so it's normal for him to leave clothes scattered, and I always end up cleaning after him. I picked up the crumpled shirt off the floor. Then I noticed something odd. What's this smell? It wasn't the smell of detergent or body odor, but an unpleasant scent. It was the smell of women's perfume. The strong scent was coming from the shirt Jason had just taken off. As I checked the shirt thoroughly, I found lipstick on the collar. Could it be an affair? The clear evidence of contact with a woman made my blood run cold. I confronted Jason as soon as he came out of the bath. I expected him to make excuses, but his reaction was unexpected. You found out. I've been careless because you hadn't noticed until now. What do you mean by all this time? You're really oblivious, aren't you? Even when I say I'm working overtime and come home late, you don't notice a thing. It's been great for cheating. Jason has been claiming to be busy with work, saying he needed to stay late or work on weekends in recent years. But all that was a lie. He'd been meeting his affair partner instead, and he confessed this without any remorse. Our sons are grown up now, and I don't need to be with you anymore. I'm at my limit having to look at your dreary face. Hey, guys, come here, I've got something to talk about. Casually, my husband called out to the sons in their rooms. Wondering what was going on, the 3 of them came out of their rooms. My husband operated his smartphone and then showed the screen to the boys. What do you guys think of her? Wow, she's super beautiful. Right? I'm thinking of divorcing Mom and marrying her. What do you think? Wait, she's gonna be our new mom? That's awesome, totally for it. The sons took turns grabbing the phone, eagerly looking at the screen. Dad, you absolutely have to remarry. If she was our mom, I'd be a good boy. We won't oppose it. Time for a mom swap. So you guys like her too, huh? Guess what, she's actually a model. Really? No wonder she's so beautiful. She's worlds apart from Mom. Yay! A new mom. I'll start calling her Mommy. You guys, why? I was speechless at my son's outrageous reaction. Normally, wouldn't they say they don't want a divorce? But all four of them praised my husband's new partner as if ignoring my feelings entirely. That's terrible. I've tried my best raising you all. Don't you have any gratitude? That's manipulative. You are the one who chose to have us. Just because you're our mom doesn't mean you can act all high and mighty. Yeah, right. Mom's plain and kind of poor looking compared to her. It's fine if she's not around. My sons started spouting whatever they wanted, like tired of plain cooking and should just hire a maid for laundry and cleaning. There was no trace of gratitude towards me. So I understand how you all feel. I'm not needed in this house, then. You're sensible for once. That's right, please divorce. With the sons on his side, my husband was pleased. Being told such things, I couldn't help but be furious. Fine, I'll leave this house. Be happy with your new mom. By then. Would have done it anyway. You're going to struggle, but try your best. Bye. Everyone let me go without any attempt to stop me, all with smug, unpleasant smiles on their faces. I cut ties with such a family and immediately packed my things and left the house. Afterward, through a lawyer, the paperwork was sent, and my divorce from Jason was finalized swiftly. My sons went with Jason, and the child support was offset against division of property. You, being just a homemaker with only a bit of income from piecework, it's a pity you won't get any money. Jason looked down on me with a triumphant attitude, but I was fine with the divorce happening quickly, even if it meant no money. The emotional scars from being betrayed by the entire family wouldn't heal easily. So, at least, I wanted to start a new life somewhere new and forget about the past. With that thought, I immediately began looking for a new place to live. A year had passed since then. After shopping, I parked my car in the garage as usual. Suddenly, several men appeared before me. Their appearances were shabby and somewhat miserable. I didn't recognize them immediately, but upon a closer look, they were Jason and the three sons, my ex-husband and children. What do you guys want? I was supposed to have completely cut ties with them after the divorce. A bad feeling crept up on me. Mom! Help us! My first son rushed to me, clinging to me with a face about to cry. They began to explain how they had found my house. A few days ago, they happened to see me shopping in town and followed me. Normally, one wouldn't follow a mother they had discarded. But there was a reason they felt compelled to follow me. How can you afford to shop at such high-end stores? My husband interrogated me in a harsh tone, as if he couldn't believe it. Looking at their clothes, it was clear they didn't seem to have any money. On the other hand, I now own a foreign car and live in a famous upscale neighborhood. The store they saw me at was a high-end brand store that ordinary people can't just walk into. Perhaps the former family smelled money when they saw how well I was doing. How can someone who only did sticker-placing piecework live in such a house? You must have a wealthy lover or something. Coming out of nowhere and starting with that. I was appalled by my ex-husband's accusatory tone. Despite the divorce, he seemed to want to belittle me, but as Jason said, I hadn't become wealthy by relying on someone else. Unknown to my family, I actually had a substantial amount of savings. When I worked as a company employee before getting married, I started investing my severance pay. Now it's worth $5 million, allowing me to live without working. If that's the case, there was no need for you to do piecework. When I revealed this, Jason yelled as if outraged. The profit from investments is strictly my personal asset. Besides, I enjoyed doing piecework, and if I had told you and the boys about the money, you would have relied on me and spoiled yourselves. That's why I kept it hidden from you. Indeed, there was no need for me to do piecework. But I started it to fit in with my mom friends who also earned through piecework, and even though it didn't earn much, I enjoyed the meticulous work as a pastime. Sticker placing was really fun, you know? And after we separated, I got really into real estate investment to distract myself from the loneliness. My assets kept increasing, and now I'm having trouble with taxes. In my words, not only Jason but also my sons were utterly astonished. The sons I saw for the first time in a long while looked paler and unhealthier than before. By the way, you all look quite pale. Are you eating properly? Though Jason took them with him, they were still my biological sons. I couldn't help but worry and impulsively asked about their well-being. It's all because of that woman. Our home is a mess. My first son responded bitterly to my question. As it turned out, the woman Jason had intended to remarry had no intention of marrying him from the start. She had approached him only for his money. Jason had fallen for her at a nightclub and tried to attract her attention by treating her to expensive dinners and showering her with high-end brands. However, when he proposed, she flatly rejected him, saying, "I'm not interested in a divorced man with kids." But unable to give her up, Jason hired a detective to locate her home. It turned out she was already married and had a family with another man. I was deceived by that woman. She said she was single. I can't believe she was already married. She tricked me. Jason stomped his feet in frustration, evidently upset about being deceived and exploited. But this man had once discarded me. I couldn't feel a shred of pity for him. Mom, being apart made us realize we need you. Right, the house is dirty without you, and we're sick of ready-made meals. Come back quickly. Help us. My sons began to plead tearfully for me to return home. All right. I sighed, and overwhelmed by their clinginess, I agreed to return home. Then they all joyfully celebrated. However, inwardly, I was completely fed up with their lazy behavior. When I visited my former home, the house was foul-smelling with clothes strewn about and garbage piled up. Since I left this house, there has been no one to do the household chores, and there have been constant complaints from the neighbors. Why doesn't any of the 4 grown men clean? Huh? Housework is women's work. Why should men have to do it? If Mom comes back, everything will go back to how it was. Oh, I'm so glad. I was sick of living in this filthy house. Realizing their selfish reasoning, I understood that I had failed in raising them. Influenced by their father, my sons had grown into men who, despite being completely incapable of caring for themselves, held deeply misogynistic views. If Mom is rich, we can finally say goodbye to poverty. Poverty? You have an income, don't you? Well. According to my sons, Jason had been squandering most of his income on his mistress. There should have been some savings, but that was quickly depleted, and they soon found themselves unable to afford the educational expenses for the 3 boys. My first and second sons had to drop out of college, and the youngest gave up on attending altogether. That's why we're working part-time, but it's still tough to make ends meet with 4 people. Moreover, Jason, in debt up to his neck, had misused his position as an accountant and dipped into company funds. Embezzlement was quickly discovered, but the company, fearing a tarnish to its image, chose not to file a police report and simply fired him. Desperate, Jason struggled daily to find a job, but rumors of his embezzlement spread, making it difficult for him to secure employment. Jason then turned to drinking to soothe his stress and, compounded by his erratic diet, was now suffering from gout. Please, help us! The proud Jason was casting aside all shame and pride in begging me for help. Their situation must be dire. We can't do without Mom. Please, we beg you, come back. My sons followed suit, begging after Jason. All 4 were bowing down to me. But I felt no inclination to help them. You reap what you sow. Don't come clinging to me now after all you've done. I looked down at them coldly as I spoke. They might have thought that crying and begging would make me forgive them, but I could not. I could not forget the treatment they had given me. You said you didn't need a plain wife and mother. Well, I feel the same way. I don't need a husband or sons who ridicule and then discard someone. As I spoke, I took a wallet out of my bag. It contained 10 $100 bills. I placed them on the table. Consider this severance pay. Never show up in front of me again. Jason, and you boys too, stop relying on others and start taking care of yourselves. It's disgraceful. As I said this, I glared at the 4 of them in front of me. Then they murmured in disbelief, their heads drooping. I left the living room and closed the door behind me. Immediately, from the living room came shouts of "It's my money," as the four scrambled and fought over the money on the table. It saddened me to see how low they had fallen, but I hoped they would somehow manage to live on their own. Later, I heard that Jason and the boys had sold the house and moved into a small public housing unit. Though Jason had difficulty finding a new job, he eventually got hired by a construction company and now spends his days doing unfamiliar physical labor, taking care of his sons. It seems he has finally developed a sense of fatherhood. Though their life is still tough, he works diligently without complaint. Similarly, the first and second sons are now working and living at a small factory. The youngest, who didn't go to college, is now working part-time to help with the family finances. Though they are still far from escaping poverty, they have become significantly more responsible than before, and knowing this, I felt relieved. Despite the terrible treatment that drove me away, they were still my family at heart. I hope they continue to grow into respectable adults who can take care of themselves. Meanwhile, I've turned one room in my house into a craft studio. Being naturally skilled with my hands, I decided to pursue what I love. Now, many students come to my classes based on word of mouth, and I enjoy delightful times hosting parties at the end of the sessions. Betrayed by my family and left alone, I've now gained a life of freedom where no one can ridicule me. Even though we're apart, I pray for my son's health and happiness, and I plan to live my life the way I want to.